What are you focused on?
Yeah. So we're really trying to we're building a scalable model is really at the end of the day what we're wanting to achieve. And so we're training our first managers. We're training those managers to train a next generation of managers. We have new technologies that we're bringing on board. We have expat teammates that have come and are now joining with us. In these parts of the world, it's a little bit challenging sometimes. A company in this particular country has a 5-to-1 work visa ratio. So in order to be here, there has to be 5 local employees for every foreigner that's involved with the company. So early on, we had to have 5 employees. Now we have to have 10 employees. We now have close to 15 employees that are working with us full time. So we have capacity for another expat team member to come and join. So those are really cool things. Socially, the fact that in these villages, if we can create jobs, just like you're saying, it allows people who are traveling for work that want to be in these farms, want to be in their heritage. These farms, these been farmed by the same families for 3 and 4 generations. And so for them to leave, it's just heartbreaking. They don't want to leave their land. They want to be here. And to create job opportunities for them, yes, we want to have those impact opportunities. The other is just when I grew up in America, and the whole concept of a century farm, this beautiful plaque that Century Farms, they've been in there for 100 years, sitting out in front. They brought farmers a lot of pride. You know, our family's been farming this region for a long time. We're able to produce lot traceable hazelnuts, and we're able to put a lot number that goes directly back to someone's family farm. And we're turning that into hazelnut spread that we are beginning to market to different places, Europe to America, that has a little QR on there with a little video of that family that is able to see, okay, my farm has value and is important to the rest of the world. My hazelnuts are being sold now in America and in Europe, and they care about us. That restores so much to a family in honor, in dignity, in joy. So this is an impact that we absolutely love.
That's huge. I've seen the same, not the same, but certainly similar approach with certain people working among coffee growers,
Yeah.
building a certain visceral heart connection between, the guy that's growing the coffee on his 5 acre
Yep.
plot, and the American or the European or whoever, even the city dweller for that matter, who's
Yep.
drinking the coffee, and they realize, everybody takes joy and pride in it. It's a beautiful thing to see. It really is.
You feel unseen if you're just blended into the background, but all of a sudden I'm seen. And that's a fundamental part of how God's made us, is to want to have connectivity, to want to have community, to want others to be able to see something that you value and have joy in, that they would also value and have joy in it as well. So we want to bring those sorts of social impacts into this region: jobs, joy. You know, the spiritual impact that we want to bring is probably the biggest. You know, we early on out here, we would share with people about Christ, and oftentimes people would make a decision. I want to follow, and sometimes they did that for other motives, but quite often they made it for the reason that they really wanted to have their lives transformed. They wanted to follow Jesus. And in a region that prides itself in being 100% Muslim, um, you don't get a job here based on your own merit. You have it because your clan has connections. When you've rejected Islam, you bring shame on your family, and so your employer, it's no longer an honor that they're giving you that job. It's bringing shame on everyone. So many of the people we connected with, they would lose their jobs. And if you've lost your job here in an economically repressed region, then we're not able to stay. So we knew that we needed to find ways that we could create a merit-based employment opportunity that gave the opportunity. You're not going to get fired for becoming a believer. You can remain. And so our heart's desire is, can we create capacity for locals to remain so that they can be a witness, that they can live out their life as they become disciples, they begin to disciple others in their world. Can they do that in their villages? And can we create the opportunity for them to be a blessing, financially to their villages, to their communities, emotionally, socially, and spiritually.
Hmm. It is interesting. I think there's still so much. Our listenership is pretty aware of some of the things you're talking about, not all the details of what happens when a Muslim believes, but the majority of the world as a whole, take the masses, they just have such a false concept of what life is like, of what happens to somebody raised in a particular tradition, raised in a particular culture, and they see it very much. You mentioned, making a decision. They see it very much as a decision, and it's so much more than that. And I think I love that you brought that up, and I love that there is a full-orbed solution that you've built, right? I mean, there is community, there is
Yeah,
dignity, there is employment. My work started so many years ago in one of the stands, thousands of miles east of where you are, of course, many thousands of miles. Um, but learning to see that same dynamic and being able to use job creation as a means of alleviating the suffering that came with just something as simple as declaring faith.
yeah, yeah. The reality is that we this country, there is what has been identified recently as 176 churches, and amongst all 80 million people, and that two of them theoretically could be considered self-supporting. There's not the indigenous church in this country. And then you go to the place that would be insulated and isolated and rural, and how many generations, how long is it going to be before places like this are impacted? We saw, okay, there's all these obstacles, but what we realized was that God, through agriculture, was giving us an opportunity to turn those obstacles into opportunities. Because there's not agricultural training being offered by the government, because you can't choose, I want to go to university, I have land, I'm a farmer, I want to learn more about farming. Those opportunities don't exist here. Most of these rural people barely can write their names. The reality is, we who are farmers in places that are blessed with strong Christian heritage have a huge opportunity to come into the 1040 window, to go into the places that would be the least reached, and to bring what we have, agricultural understanding and knowledge, and help that become the opportunity to establish the very first churches in this region. That's exciting. That's exciting.
It is exciting, and I think as you're sharing this, Ron, I think about God and Moses. With the what is in your hand question.
Yeah,
I've given you whatever you have. In his case, a shepherd's staff. In your case, agriculture. It's like, okay, what's in your
yeah,
hand? You don't have to go away and get some other thing. You have what you need to go and be among the people and see God work.